What if some of the foods you believe are healthy are actually speeding up aging inside your body? Are you eating what you believe is a healthy diet, yet still feeling tired, inflamed, gaining weight, or slowly noticing your health drifting in the wrong direction? What if the foods most people connect with longevity are not actually the real reason some populations live well past 100 years, staying mentally sharp, energetic, and highly resistant to disease? Here is what is truly happening inside your body. Longevity is not determined by a single superfood, a stack of supplements, or the latest trendy diet. Instead, it comes down to how your everyday food choices interact with your metabolism, your immune system, and the natural repair systems built into your body. And this understanding did not come from influencers or diet trends. It emerged from Nobel Prize-recognized scientific research. Over the past several decades, researchers studying aging, cellular stress, and disease resistance discovered something surprising. The longest living people on Earth are not necessarily eating more food. They eat in a more strategic way. Their diets quietly activate internal survival pathways that reduce inflammation, stabilize insulin, protect DNA, and help keep blood vessels youthful. This matters because aging is not simply the passage of time. Aging is largely the result of accumulated metabolic damage. Chronically elevated insulin, persistent inflammation, oxidative stress, and a sluggish immune system slowly accelerate aging long before wrinkles appear or medical diagnoses are made. But when those root causes are corrected, the body can do something remarkable. It begins repairing itself. Let me explain with a simple comparison. Think of your body like a high-performance hybrid engine. It has the ability to run on different fuel systems, but it performs best when it can shift efficiently between them. Unfortunately, most modern diets force the body to operate in one inefficient mode all the time. Constant sugar burning, increased inflammation, and suppressed repair mechanisms. Longevity-focused eating restores that balance. It allows the metabolic engine to switch back and forth between fuel systems in a way that keeps the body clean, flexible, and resilient. Research shows that certain everyday foods, not exotic ingredients and not expensive supplements, send powerful signals to your cells. These signals can activate longevity genes, strengthen immune defenses, improve insulin sensitivity, and reduce the biological wear and tear that eventually leads to heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and cognitive decline. And here's the surprising twist. Many of these foods are not what people expect. Longevity is not about drinking more protein shakes, eating more health bars, or snacking all day long. In fact, some of the most powerful longevity foods work precisely because they create brief, healthy stress inside the body. The kind of stress that makes your biology stronger instead of weaker. In this video, I'm going to break down 6 science-supported insights drawn from Nobel Prize-recognized discoveries in modern metabolic research. You will learn what foods to eat regularly, why timing matters just as much as food choice, and how to activate your body's natural longevity systems without medications or extreme diets. And if this type of root cause science-first health education is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I share content like this regularly to help you take control of your long-term health naturally. Now let's look deeper at what is actually happening inside your body, because this is where many people completely misunderstand longevity. For decades, we were told that living longer required eating perfectly healthy foods more frequently, keeping blood sugar constantly stable, and avoiding anything that felt like stress to the body. But Nobel Prize-recognized research revealed something very different. Your cells do not become younger when life is easy. They become stronger when they are challenged just enough. Let me explain this with another simple analogy. Imagine your body as a city. Every single day, waste begins to accumulate. Damaged proteins, malfunctioning mitochondria, and broken cellular components slowly build up. If garbage trucks suddenly stopped operating in a city, it would not collapse overnight, but gradually everything would begin to slow down. Inflammation would rise and critical systems would start failing. Aging works in a very similar way. The body has an internal cleanup system known as autophagy. In 2016, scientist Yoshinori Osumi received the Nobel Prize for uncovering how this remarkable process works. What the research shows is that autophagy is one of the most powerful anti-aging mechanisms we have. It recycles damaged cellular components, improves metabolic efficiency, and protects against diseases such as cancer, neurodegeneration, and immune decline. But here's the key detail most people miss. Autophagy does not fully activate when you are constantly eating. Every time you consume food, even healthy food, insulin levels rise. Insulin signals to the body that nutrients are available and that it is time for growth. Growth is important, but constant growth without cleanup accelerates aging. It is similar to building new rooms onto a house without ever repairing the foundation. Autophagy turns on when insulin levels drop and energy intake pauses, such as during overnight fasting windows or when meals are spaced apart strategically. This does not mean starvation. It simply means creating intentional breaks between meals. Long-lived populations like those studied in Okinawa and Sardinia did not snack continuously throughout the day. They ate simple meals, stopped eating before they felt completely full, and allowed their bodies long overnight breaks without food. Without knowing the scientific term autophagy, they were activating it every single day. Here is a practical protocol you can start using. Begin with a 12 to 14 hour overnight fasting window. For example, dinner at 7 in the evening and breakfast at 9 the following morning. Even this simple habit begins activating cellular cleanup processes. Avoid eating late at night. Late meals keep insulin elevated when the body should be repairing tissues and regulating important hormones like melatonin and growth hormone. Keep morning meals focused on protein rather than sugar. This helps stabilize insulin and prevents shutting down autophagy too early in the day. Now let's connect this to longevity. Autophagy does more than clean cells. It improves mitochondrial efficiency, meaning your cells can produce more energy while generating less damage. That translates into clearer thinking, stronger muscles, healthier skin, and slower biological aging. This is why many people notice improved mental clarity and better energy when they stop grazing throughout the entire day. It is not magic. It is metabolism working the way it was designed. There is another important detail worth understanding. Physical activity can significantly amplify the process of autophagy, especially resistance training and steady aerobic exercise, often called Zone 2 cardio. Movement creates small amounts of controlled stress in the body. That stress sends a signal that adaptation is necessary, and adaptation is one of the most powerful foundations of maintaining youth. So, the takeaway from this section is both simple and powerful. You do not live longer by eating more frequently. You live longer by allowing your cells the time they need to clean, repair, and reset. Now let's move into the second insight, one that surprises many people when they first hear it. Controlling insulin may matter far more for longevity than calories, fat intake, or even genetics. Think of insulin as the body's primary storage hormone. Its job is to move nutrients out of the bloodstream and into tissues like muscle, the liver, and fat cells. This function is absolutely essential for survival. But modern research has revealed something important. When insulin remains elevated for long periods throughout the day, it can accelerate the aging process. Here is what is actually happening inside your body. When insulin stays high all day, often caused by frequent meals, refined carbohydrates, or constant snacking, your cells remain locked in growth and storage mode. Growth mode sounds beneficial, but biologically, it also suppresses repair processes while increasing inflammation and oxidative stress. Over time, this metabolic state contributes to insulin resistance, the buildup of visceral fat, hormone disruption, and faster cellular aging. This is why two individuals eating the exact same number of calories can age in very different ways. Longevity is not just determined by how much food you eat. It is also determined by how often insulin is triggered throughout the day. Research into aging pathways such as mTOR-MPK and insulin signaling shows a consistent pattern across multiple species, including yeast, worms, mice, and humans. Lower well-timed insulin exposure is strongly associated with longer lifespan. To simplify this idea, think of mTOR as your body's build and grow pathway. eMPK works differently. It acts as your repair and recycling pathway. Insulin strongly activates the mTOR pathway. When mTOR stays constantly active, rarely has the chance to do its repair work. Over time, that imbalance accelerates aging. Now here is where many people misunderstand nutrition. They try to fix this problem by obsessing over calories or by eliminating fat completely. But the real leverage point is not deprivation. The real lever is carbohydrate timing and food quality. Here are several practical strategies you can begin using right away. First, eat carbohydrates after protein and fiber rather than by themselves. This slows the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream and reduces the size of the insulin spike. Second, try compressing your food intake into 2 or 3 real meals instead of 6 or 7 small snacks throughout the day. Every time you eat, insulin is released. Third, choose carbohydrates that naturally contain fiber and polyphenols such as berries, legumes, lentils, and intact whole grains. These foods blunt the insulin response and also nourish beneficial gut bacteria. Another extremely simple habit that produces powerful metabolic benefits is walking for 10 to 15 minutes after meals. This small movement can reduce post-meal glucose levels by up to 30%, and it does not require a gym. Now let's explore why this matters for longevity. Lower insulin levels do not only protect metabolism, they also protect your blood vessels, your brain, and your immune system. When insulin resistance develops, the inner lining of blood vessels, known as the endothelium, becomes damaged. This damage increases the risk of clot formation and accelerates cardiovascular disease and cognitive decline. Researchers have even found such a strong link between insulin dysfunction and Alzheimer's disease that some scientists refer to the condition as type 3 diabetes. But here's the encouraging part. Insulin sensitivity can improve surprisingly quickly. Within just a few weeks of adjusting meal timing, reducing ultra-processed foods, and incorporating simple movement after meals, insulin signaling begins to improve. Energy levels stabilize, cravings decrease, and fat loss often becomes easier without relying on constant willpower. If this idea resonates with you, make sure you stay subscribed because in the next section, we are going to explore one of the most counterintuitive discoveries in longevity science. Certain plant compounds can actually mimic the biological effects of exercise at the cellular level. Even if you are not particularly athletic, this is where food becomes something far more powerful than just calories. Food becomes information. Let's take a closer look at what is actually happening inside your body. When people say food can act like medicine, this is one of the most overlooked longevity mechanisms in modern nutrition. Imagine your cells like a house. Over time, waste naturally begins to accumulate. Damaged proteins, malfunctioning mitochondria, and broken cellular parts slowly build up. If the trash is not removed regularly, the structure of the house begins to deteriorate. In biology, that cleanup process is autophagy, and it is one of the strongest predictors of healthy aging. But here is the surprising part. You do not always need extreme fasting or intense exercise to activate these repair systems. Research shows that specific plant compounds called polyphenols can switch on many of the same cellular pathways. This discovery connects directly to Nobel Prize-recognized work on cellular recycling and autophagy. Polyphenols create a mild and beneficial stress within the cell. This concept is known as hormesis. Hormesis means a small stress that ultimately strengthens the system. It is the exact same principle behind exercise. You stress the muscles slightly and the body adapts by becoming stronger. Foods rich in polyphenols activate EMPK, reduce excessive mTOR activity, calm inflammation, and improve mitochondrial efficiency. In simple terms, they send signals telling your cells to clean up damage, repair themselves, and function in a more youthful way. Some of the most powerful polyphenol sources include extra virgin olive oil, green tea, dark berries, cocoa, coffee, cruciferous vegetables, legumes, and lentils. Notice something important about this list. None of these foods are extreme. None are exotic, and none require strict restriction. Longevity nutrition is not about punishment. It is about biological signaling. Now let's clear up a very common misunderstanding. When people hear about plant compounds and longevity, many immediately think about fruit juices, smoothies, or heavily marketed health foods. But when fiber is removed from food, much of the benefit disappears. Fiber slows digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, feeds beneficial gut bacteria, and allows polyphenols to travel to the colon where they are transformed into even more powerful compounds. Here is something truly fascinating. Your gut microbiome does far more than simply digest food. It actually converts polyphenols into longevity-supporting molecules. These metabolites help reduce systemic inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, and protect DNA from oxidative damage. That means if your gut health is compromised, even a well-designed diet may not deliver its full potential benefits. This is why microbiome health plays such an important role in longevity. Here is a simple and realistic protocol you can follow. Aim to consume more than 30 different plant foods each week, not every day over the entire week. Variety matters more than large quantities of a single food. Include at least one polyphenol-rich food with each meal. A drizzle of olive oil, a handful of berries, herbs, spices, or colorful vegetables. Small additions can make a meaningful impact over time. Avoid ultra-processed foods that are labeled plant-based but contain long ingredient lists. If a product comes in a package with dozens of additives and preservatives, it is unlikely to support your microbiome. Another overlooked habit is eating slowly and chewing thoroughly. Digestion actually begins in the mouth. Poor chewing often leads to poor digestion, which results in weaker nutrient signaling throughout the body. Here's the big takeaway. Longevity foods do not magically add years to your life. Instead, they remove the biological friction that accelerates aging. Inflammation, insulin resistance, oxidative stress, and impaired cellular repair are the real drivers of aging. And when those forces are reduced, the body naturally functions in a more youthful way. This is why people living in long-lived regions around the world rarely obsess over macronutrient ratios or extreme diets. They eat simple foods consistently in patterns that support cellular cleanup every day. Now stay with me because the next idea surprises almost everyone. There is one daily habit that may outperform supplements, expensive biohacks, and even genetics when it comes to living past 100. And most people are doing it completely wrong. Let's talk about how often you eat, not just what you eat. Many people assume longevity depends on superfoods, but the research keeps pointing towards something more fundamental: metabolic rhythm. Think of your metabolism like a city. During the daytime, traffic moves, deliveries arrive, energy is used, and activity is high. But at night, the city requires quiet hours so that maintenance crews can repair roads, remove waste, and restore infrastructure. If traffic never stops, the city begins to wear down much faster. Your body works in a very similar way. When you eat constantly throughout the day, snacking, grazing, and eating late dinners, insulin remains elevated. And when insulin stays high, the body struggles to access stored fat, repair damaged cells, or enter deeper maintenance modes. Research shows that one of the most important longevity signals is daily periods of low insulin, not starvation, not extreme restriction, simply structured breaks between meals. This is why time-restricted eating consistently shows improvements in blood sugar control, inflammation reduction, mitochondrial health, and even gene expression linked to aging. Here's another fascinating insight. Even Nobel Prize-level research into aging biology shows that cells require time without incoming nutrients to activate important repair genes. This simply cannot happen when the body is constantly digesting food. However, this is where many people make a mistake. They attempt fasting while still eating late at night, sleeping poorly, and putting their nervous system under chronic stress. That combination cancels out many of the benefits. Longevity nutrition is not about skipping breakfast for social media bragging rights. It is about aligning your eating habits with your circadian biology. Here is a simple, sustainable protocol that works with your physiology rather than against it. Finish your final meal at least 3 hours before sleep. This single habit can improve insulin sensitivity and sleep quality. Aim for a 12 to 14 hour overnight eating break. Not aggressive, just consistent. Try eating your largest meals earlier in the day when insulin sensitivity is naturally higher. Keep evening meals lighter and more protein-focused. Heavy carbohydrate intake late at night can disrupt melatonin and growth hormone release. Now let's look at why this matters for longevity. When insulin levels fall, the body begins shifting toward fat burning. But something even more important happens. Growth hormone rises, inflammatory markers decrease, and autophagy increases. This creates an internal environment where biological aging slows down. And here is the surprising part. You do not necessarily need to eat less food overall to live longer. You simply need to eat with better timing. Many of the longest living populations do not eat tiny portions. They eat normal meals, but they stop eating earlier in the day, eat socially, and allow daily metabolic rest. If this information has been helpful so far, consider subscribing. I regularly break down complex health science into practical tools that you can apply immediately in everyday life. Now, in the next section, we are going to discuss a deeply misunderstood topic: protein. Because the same nutrient that helps build muscle can also accelerate aging if the timing and source are not balanced correctly. And this is where many people unintentionally sabotage their longevity goals. Protein is essential for maintaining strength, supporting muscle tissue, protecting bone density, and preserving metabolic health as we age. However, longevity research has uncovered something important. The timing and overall balance of protein intake can influence aging pathways inside the body. Remember the pathway we discussed earlier called mTOR? mTOR acts as the body's primary growth signal. It tells cells to build new tissue, grow stronger, and repair muscle after physical stress. This pathway is vital for survival. Without mTOR activation, wounds would not heal and muscle could not rebuild. But problems begin when this growth signal stays switched on continuously. Constant stimulation of mTOR can push cells toward uncontrolled growth, which is associated with faster biological aging and increased cancer risk. In other words, the body needs both growth phases and repair phases. Longevity is created through balance between the two. Protein activates mTOR more strongly than carbohydrates or fats. This is one reason strength training combined with adequate protein helps maintain muscle mass as we age. But if protein intake is spread constantly throughout the entire day, especially through frequent snacking or processed protein products, the growth pathway never fully switches off. This prevents the body from entering deeper repair states like autophagy. This does not mean protein is harmful. In fact, protein becomes even more important as we get older. The key idea is strategic timing. For most people, consuming protein in 2 or 3 well-balanced meals works better than constantly sipping protein drinks or eating protein bars throughout the day. Spacing meals allows mTOR to activate when needed for growth, then naturally decrease so repair systems can take over. Another important factor is protein quality. Long-lived populations tend to consume a mixture of protein sources rather than relying entirely on one type. Legumes, lentils, fish, eggs, nuts, seeds, and moderate amounts of animal protein often appear together in longevity-focused dietary patterns. Plant-based proteins also come packaged with fiber and polyphenols, which support the gut microbiome and reduce inflammation. Now let's explore one final mechanism that quietly influences how long and how well we live: the health of your blood vessels. Your vascular system is responsible for delivering oxygen and nutrients to every single tissue in your body. When blood vessels become stiff or damaged, circulation declines. This reduces oxygen delivery to the brain, the heart, the muscles, and even the skin. Over time, poor vascular health accelerates aging across the entire body. Researchers studying longevity repeatedly find that people who maintain flexible, responsive blood vessels have lower risks of cardiovascular disease, stroke, and cognitive decline. One of the most powerful molecules responsible for vascular health is nitric oxide. Nitric oxide helps blood vessels relax and expand, improving circulation and lowering blood pressure. But here is the challenge. Nitric oxide production declines naturally with age. However, certain foods can help restore this process. Leafy green vegetables such as spinach, arugula, and lettuce contain natural nitrates that the body converts into nitric oxide. Beets are another well-known source that supports vascular function. Polyphenol-rich foods like cocoa, berries, green tea, and extra virgin olive oil also enhance nitric oxide signaling inside blood vessels. Movement plays a role as well. Regular walking increases blood flow and stimulates nitric oxide production naturally. Even short daily walks can significantly improve endothelial health over time. When circulation improves, tissues receive more oxygen, inflammation decreases, and cellular energy production becomes more efficient. That means better brain clarity, stronger muscles, healthier skin, and greater resilience against chronic disease. And when you step back and look at the bigger picture, something remarkable becomes clear. Longevity is not controlled by one miracle food or one perfect habit. It is created through multiple small signals working together every day. Periods of cellular cleanup through autophagy, balanced insulin signaling through smarter meal timing, polyphenol-rich foods that activate repair pathways, a diverse gut microbiome supported by plant variety, adequate protein that preserves strength without constantly overstimulating growth pathways, and healthy blood vessels that keep oxygen flowing to every cell. When these systems function together, the body becomes remarkably resilient. Aging still occurs, of course, but it happens more slowly, more gracefully, and with far greater vitality. The encouraging part is that most of these habits do not require expensive supplements or extreme diets. They are simple patterns that can be applied consistently: spacing meals, eating real foods, moving daily, supporting the microbiome, allowing your body the time it needs to repair itself. These habits may not look dramatic from the outside, but inside your body they activate some of the most powerful longevity pathways ever discovered. And over the course of years and decades, those small daily signals can shape how well your body ages. If you found this breakdown helpful, consider subscribing to Health and Healing, where we explore the science behind healthy aging and practical habits that support strength, clarity, and independence throughout life. Because the goal is not simply to live longer, the goal is to stay strong, sharp, and vibrant for as many years as possible. And the choices you make every single day play a bigger role in that outcome than most people realize. If you found this helpful, subscribe to channel for more simple science-based habits that can help you stay strong, independent, and healthy for years to come.